Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. In the first hour of the broadcast, I'm going to give you content, information for better sex, more money, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice, more strategies and gambits for having it all. The second hour is what I'm most excited about. It's when I get a chance to chat with you. Yes, you. Where you can call in, talk to me, ask me questions. And if you say the secret word of the day, you could win $5,000 cash. At the very least, if you're the most interesting call of the day, you could also win 10 ounces of freshly minted Marshall Sylver 999 Fine Silver. All of that and more. Brand new Mercedes-Benz sedan or SUV up for grabs. My personal Rolls-Royce Phantom up for grabs. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information about its release coming up. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week, coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. I'm Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker.
Let me bring in our hypnotist, Marshall Sylver.
It's Marshall Sylver, ladies and gentlemen, the world's fastest hypnotist.
Hello there. Welcome home. It's Marshall Sylver. You're at Marshall Sylver Live, where we hang out 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. and talk to some really fascinating people, enhance the quality of your life, give you more sex, money, and power. And then after breakfast, we do other stuff. So glad you're with me. Glad you're a part of this live experience. You never know what somebody else is going through. And, that's one of the things that I am absolutely positive about, that sometimes people are being massively unreasonable and not being kind. And it's a natural reaction, of course, to think that they're just D-heads. Yes, they're named Richard for long. And it's easy to dismiss it that way. The challenge with that is, number one, it doesn't help you. It certainly doesn't help them, but it doesn't help you either. And the reason it doesn't help you is there are times when your first name was Richard. I promise you. Lord knows. I might have been named King Richard. Um, and so grace is a powerful tool to use in all areas. Whether you believe in Christ as God or just as a historical figure, the history says that as Christ was being crucified, he would basically turn the other cheek, and his last words were, "Forgive them, for they know not what they do." And I think that's the case mostly, not always. I mean, there certainly are people that are sociopathic and sadistic for sure. I don't think it's the majority of the population by any stretch. And so I don't think most people know what kind of pain they're inflicting on somebody else. I don't think they know. At least I don't think they know on an empathetic level, meaning if I had a knife in my hand and I slipped that knife into you, but I felt the pain, I think I would stab you once. I think that's it. I think I would go, man, that's not what I was expecting. That's not good. I don't want to feel this again. So, on a deep level, I don't think people know what pain they cause in other people's lives. And again, I think some people are just wired differently. I grew up in a big family. I've got 10 siblings. And growing up in a big family, you go one of two directions. You either become massively empathetic and really seek out of survival to see the world through the eyes of your siblings, or you spend most nights praying that there was a switch at the hospital that'll be discovered and that you'll be placed with your rightful family as an only child. And I admit it, I voted for the second one on many occasions. And though I also know that my ability to see the points of view of my siblings, and they're varied. It's amazing to me. We grew up in the same environment, because we think so differently. But again, it's a matter of understanding that empathy is not knowing what somebody feels, it's actually feeling what they feel. So that said, the word of the day is empathy. And the second word of the day, though, because you can have empathy, except if you don't have empathy with grace, there's no point. So what is grace? Grace is letting it go. And I mean grace not just with other people. I mean grace especially with yourself. I am level 62. I celebrated level 62 about a week ago. And in the course of my lifetime, I know that I have mucked it up repeatedly. And if I dwell on the things that I have not done well, guess what? I do more things not well because what we focus on expands. And you've got to stop expanding the things that aren't working for you. You've got to stop focusing on what happened. The trauma, frankly, is irrelevant. Somebody going through a challenge recently had something that happened to them 30 years ago. And they repeatedly said to me, "You just don't understand. This happened to me." And I said, "I realize that stuff happens to everybody. Stuff happened to me. Well, but what happened to me was worse." And my response is, yes, it was to you. It was worse to you because we always think the offense that happened to us is worse than the offense that's happening to other people. We always think that. I remember many years ago, I was working for the Old Globe Theater in San Diego, and I was standing out back behind the theater talking to two of my peers. One had been busted with a couple pounds of marijuana and was going to jail for 6 months. How ridiculous is that? The other one, his wife was leaving him, divorcing him. She had been having an affair with another woman. And they were both lamenting, singing the blues. And I remember the guy whose wife was leaving him for another woman said to the guy who was going to jail for 6 months, "Man, I wish I could trade places with you." And I'm looking at the guy thinking, well, you'd learn really fast how to be somebody's girlfriend if you traded places with him. That's for sure. So maybe you could do that. Except once again, I knew he didn't know what he was saying, or maybe he was being flippant. Doesn't matter. We don't know what other people are going through. We don't know what pain, we don't know what they're suffering from. I have a buddy of mine, I love him very much. And he contacted me. We talk a lot. And about a month ago, he said, "Yeah, I've been battling cancer for 6 months." We're good friends. I mean, we're not best friends, but we're good friends. And when he told me that, all I could think was, my gosh, why didn't I said it? Why didn't you say something sooner? He said, "I didn't want to burden you. What can you do? You're not a doctor. You're not an oncologist. There's nothing you can do. And why would I give you more of my burden?" So he suffered on his own because he thought he had to. So empathy and grace, those are the words of the day. I think they're great words to describe our guest for today because our guest for today has been massively successful by doing the very things we've been talking about, getting into the heads of other people and having empathy, seeing it through their eyes, putting deals together, and managing and leading people like he would want to be managed and led. Ron Koenigsberg is a multiple award-winning commercial real estate broker. He's got decades of sales experience. He uses warmth, humor, personal stories, and tangible action items to help you build and hone your interpersonal skills. Ron's also found success in business and life with strong interpersonal skills, and he wrote a book called Power Broker about the importance of public speaking, communication, negotiation, relationship building, challenge solving, resilience, listening, teamwork, and adaptability. I'm extremely excited to chat with him, and I'd like you to help me give a nice big in the chat, warm Marshall Sylver Live welcome to Ron Koenigsberg. Welcome, Ron.
Honored to be here. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you perfectly. I'm glad you're here.
Man,
Welcome
you've
home,
got
man.
great energy, and I'm glad that I landed on Empathy and Grace Day because I feel it's the same way that you do, that empathy has a large amount to do with why I wrote a book. I was happy in my life, being a successful commercial real estate broker, owning a commercial real estate firm, selling office buildings and shopping centers. And one day, my own brother, and I know that you've got a large family, said to me, "You've got skills, but there's one skill you don't have." And I said, "Wait a minute, whoa, I'm an award-winning salesman." And he said to me, "You don't listen well." And that's when everything changed. And I wrote a book what was so meaningful to me. I want to change my children's lives. I want to change anyone that reads my books' lives. And it all started with active listening. And active listening for me was I I started to put away my distractions. I started to reflectively listen, and I started to not interrupt people. And that's when I I understood that I could hear people, and that through communication, I could transfer their emotions. I became a much better human. And it is chapter one in my book on how to be a successful salesman, how to be successful in business and life. And truthfully, that is where a large part of my empathy and grace started. And it's really because my brother, about 5 or 10 years ago, said to me, I wasn't good at actively listening.
Isn't that interesting? That to ourselves we are what we think, right? To the outside world, though, we are what we do. So if you ask me about me, I'm going to tell you what's going on in my head. But if you ask my friend about me, he's going to tell you what he's seen me do. And since what we do is always based upon what's going on in our head, then we change who we are by changing what's going on in our head. But what you just described, if what's going on in your head is, I'm a good listener, an award winning salesperson, of course I'm a good listener, then you don't know. And I think that's the caveat, that a fish doesn't know it's in water. I didn't know some of the things about me that weren't great. And thankfully, I found a woman who's very wise in how she nudged me and how she, redirected me and pointed things out to me, because it ultimately comes down to what you just said. Do we want to be better people or not? Do we want to, steamroll or bulldoze through a conversation, or
No,
do we actually want to know the other person? And I think that the idea of being interested versus interesting is what you were just talking about. How do you make it about them? So tell
that's
us,
right.
make it about you. Let's make it about you. What Tell us about your history. Tell us about what you've done, and tell us why everybody should be extremely excited, like I am, to have you on the show today.
I appreciate that, Marshall. And it's fun to be here. Thank you. And they should be excited because it's, after 30 years of being a successful commercial real estate broker, and I say salesman, and I'm not so sure how people view those skill sets, but I'm here to tell you that I believe those are the skills that you need to be successful in business and in life. 1 out of 9 people describes themselves to be in sales. The other 8 of them are just like the fish you mentioned. They're in water. They just don't know they're in water. We're all in sales. So what happened was, during a successful career, my brother said to me, "You're not listening." And really and truly, I think my business maybe doubled. If they're talking, I'm typing. It's not about me. It's about, buyers and sellers of commercial real estate, shopping centers, office buildings, finding their needs, finding what they need, and really listening. I turned the corner when I started to really listen. And then I took an inventory of the skills that were passed on from me, from my father, who was a professional life insurance salesman and financial planner, and later, that I want to pass along to my children. So really, my book, Power Broker, How to Be Successful in Business and Life, is written by a career salesman who's, all right, I'm $1 million producer. I make $1 million or more in commissions a year. Fair. But how do I do it? What does it break down to? And why are these skills not being taught in school? And the answer to the question, why are they not being taught in school, is I don't know. And for right now, I'm going to tell you they can be taught in my books. And the takeaway that I want to talk about when we talk about empathy and grace is these 9 skills that I've isolated in my book. And the skills that I want to highlight, that if I could teach 9 classes, these are the 9 classes I would teach. The first class would be in resilience. It's going to be tough out there. First thing you said, I heard today come out of your mouth, was everybody is going through something. So as soon as we wake up, open our eyes. First quality, first thing I want to talk about is resilience. We're all going through something. I don't know
So
what it is.
explain what resilience is to you.
Resilience to me is really, I think, United States, bear with me, the Army, the military, they overcome, particularly the Marines. I think that's part of their motto, overcoming. Yes, I woke up today and I have my challenges. And so does your friend, sadly, suffering from cancer. But he put those challenges away and he's living life. And he's so kind, your friend, that he thought about how you would feel and how it would affect you and how nothing you could do would help him and his challenges. So
So
we're
he
all
suffered in
going
silence.
through something. I mean, that's just a good dude. That's just
Yeah,
a
I
good
agree.
friend.
Beyond good. I mean, I even told him, I said, I appreciate that. And that's exactly what friends are for. That's at least what I want you to think of me as.
Right.
Know that I don't,
Right.
I'm not happy that you didn't share it with me. I'm mad actually.
Right.
And so it wouldn't be a burden for you to share it with me. It would be a blessing so that I can be there for you. You ever seen a movie called The Martian with Matt Damon?
Believe so. He was stuck on Mars.
Yes. Yeah, so I watched that movie a long time ago. We just watched it a couple nights ago with the kids. And I'm reminded what a brilliant movie it is that he gets stranded on Mars and doesn't know how to communicate with people,
He
doesn't
didn't
know
know
that
much of anything. He kind of reminded me of me. He couldn't farm. He couldn't make food. He couldn't do anything. I mean, I sell shopping centers. If you drop me on Mars, I couldn't eat.
Well, what I thought was brilliant about the movie is the only way he survived was to remain calm. The only way he survived was to be resilient. The only way that he made it was to just take it day by day and day by day handle
Right.
what was in front of him. And then when he gets back, after being on Mars or gone for 2 years, basically, he gets back and obviously touching people for the first time, talking one to one for the first time. Then he breaks down. Then, he surrenders and says, "Oh, I made it, thank God." But he realized during that time that he needed to buckle down and just be focused and be resilient and bounce back from, every storm or shortcoming or failure he just had to have faith. And sometimes I think that that's part of what builds resilience, at least for me, is coming back to the mantra, this too shall pass. This is a
That's
bump in
right.
the road. We're going to get through this. And even if we don't get through this, guess what? None of the worry is going to help. So what's number two? What's the second thing?
Oh, I've isolated 9 skills. They're not being taught in school. And quite frankly, if I could isolate 9 skills to be a millionaire, to take you from, starting out in in any industry, I think this statistic really speaks loudly. 85% of current entrepreneurs and business leaders started their careers in sales. So what came first, the success or the skill set? I say it's the skill set. Number 2, public speaking. Let's talk about being a leader, effectively communicating your ideas, your visions, clearly and persuasively. How do you do that? How do you build trust and confidence? You're able to public speak. Why is this not being taught in school? Let's talk about public speaking, how strong of a business skill that is.
Yeah, I would agree. I believe communication equals wealth and that we communicate in 2 ways. We communicate internally, the 1,500 words per minute that we tell ourselves.
I
And
thought
then
it
we
was
communicate.
800 words a minute. Interesting. You might be
Well,
right. It happens
maybe it is
fast.
for you.
Things are moving pretty good in there, Marshall. That's
Yeah,
terrific.
thank
Thank
you,
you.
God. Yeah,
Thank you.
but communication to the outside world is influence, and what most people don't realize is everything you want, you get from other people. Everything you want that you don't have, almost certainly, you're gonna have to go outside of yourself to other people to get. My
That's right.
kids, I have three amazing children. Then people ask me, how many children total do you have, though? I
That's
have
right.
three amazing children, and they all play musical instruments. And their father,
Okay.
me, is a
Mhm.
performer. I've been on stage since I was 7 years old.
Okay.
So I approach being on a platform as a public speaker substantially differently than other people do, including them approaching their music. My entire approach is showmanship. How did you connect with the audience? How did you communicate with the audience? I tell them they'll put up with a missed note as long as you're smiling. They'll put
That's
up
right.
with anything that happens as long as they think you care about them. They'll care more about you. And instead of dismissing you because you hit a bad note, they'll feel bad for you, but then they'll feel great for you when you continue and you don't give
Yeah.
up. And my wife and I were talking about this because it's right in alignment with your second point. Public speaking, the ability not just to deliver information, the ability to entertain, educate, and then empower people to take new actions. Yes, I love it. What's number
Great.
three? What's
Number
number
three
three?
is negotiation. Let's talk about negotiation. Everyone wakes up and says, if you ask I reached level 60. I'm at level 60. I heard you mention you're at level 62.
Yep.
And actually at level 60, I'm a unique guy. I worked a lot. I got married late in life, had kids late in life. And here we are. I got a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old. And, truthfully, they're everything to me. And
I get it.
if
Mine are 13, 11, and 9.
Oh, so you're level 2 and you are with me. All right. So you're talking the same language. So this
Yes.
book, Power Broker, How to Be Successful in Business and Life, is, I wrote this and I said, I want to pour every single piece of me into this book, but I want the audience to be my two sons. I want them to understand that if you want something in life, you're going to get that through another person. This is the manual to operate communication. This is the manual to operate successfully with other people. That's it. It's the manual. Let's talk about negotiation. It seems like you want to talk about negotiation. The 4 C's of negotiation. Now, if I ask my sons, Drew or Chase, they'd say to me, "I know how to negotiate. Be difficult." And, I've sold hundreds and hundreds of shopping centers and office buildings. I can promise you one thing. As the broker in that room, the last thing I want to be is difficult. I understand the 4 C's. I walk into that room and I tell everybody the common interests. You're selling a shopping center. You're buying a shopping center. We've been at this for months. You want to sell. He wants to buy. This is going to be meaningful for you and his family and your family. These are the common interests. Now let's talk about the conflicting interest. The second C, conflicting interest, because there always is one. That's why it's a negotiation. We have a problem with the roof. Okay, there's an expense. We have to overcome that. Talk about criteria. What have other people done in the past to overcome this problem? Well, the contract of sale says it must be delivered leak-free. Let's talk about leak-free. And then the 4th C is compromise. Let's get into it. So, people always say to me, how do you win so many negotiations? I've never won one. I've never won one.
Love it.
How I have won a lot of business. I have won a lot of closings. I've won a lot of commission checks. I've won a lot of deals. I don't win negotiations. My 4th C, or that C that's in there, is compromise. And to me, no one is taught this. These are the skills that we use all day long. Daddy, can I have they're into blow pops lately. Can I have more blow pops? You've already had 16. And the criteria is that's right. Exactly. And the criteria is you're only allowed 1 or 2 a day. So let's compromise and say we'll wait till tomorrow. These are the 4 C's. And I wish this was being taught. I'm doing everything I can, promote my book, to let people know that sales skills are teachable and they must be taught. Now let's talk about the millionaire mind, because in 2005, T. Harv Eker wrote a book called The Millionaire Mind. And what he said is there are 8 skills that encompass the millionaire mind. I didn't know that. I wrote a book with 9 skills, 8 of which are in the millionaire mind. I recently read his book, and he has active listening. Let's talk about active listening. Let's talk about active listening, okay? That's changed my life. Chapter 1, active listening. Oprah Winfrey, she interviews 37,000 the wealthiest, the biggest, the most influential, the richest, keep going, whatever. And on February of 2020, they said to her, "What did you learn?" And she said, after 37,000 interviews, she learned that everyone you meet just wants to be seen and heard. Active listening. That's it, Marshall, right there.
Yep. What's next?
Whoa, you like that?
Yeah, no, we got 20 minutes to get through the other 5.
Okay. Let's talk about critical thinking then, okay?
Yep.
Critical thinking. If you could have the ability to think on your feet, if you could have the ability to think well on your feet, if I could go back and take one class in high school, I don't even know if my high school offered it, but many high school offers the debate team. All right, let's talk about arguments, okay? So, what happens with a debate team? Have you ever seen a debate team guy either take out a baseball bat or a gun and hit the guy or shoot the other guy on the other side of the table? No. What does he do? He's able to have critical thinking on his feet. He understands his point of view, and he learns to even switch point of views just to become a better, just to become a better debater. So the bottom line is this: I want my kids, I want me, I want anyone listening, anyone who reads my book, to have the ability to be able to think on their feet. It happened to me this morning. I got into a discussion with the guy I was working out with, let's call it an argument, and he didn't feel heard because I didn't listen to him, and it's my bad. I wish I would have unpacked. I knew my argument was correct. Be that as it may, it was about sports. I didn't listen. I didn't stop. I kept with my line of thinking, and we just reached an impasse. I wasn't listening. I wasn't debating, and I wasn't cool under pressure. I wish I was Matt Damon on Mars.
Is critical thinking street smarts? Is it emotional? Is it EQ? Is it emotional intelligence?
I think for me, critical thinking, is the ability to be calm. Listen, let's talk about arguments, because I think critical thinking and arguments, are a very big part of our lives. What is an argument? To me, an argument is an opportunity to give your side of the story or your belief system. It is not a place where emotions, although they mostly are there, should be. Diffuse the situation. And for me, arguments, the best argument is that which merely seems like an explanation. The words of Dale Carnegie. The best argument is that which seems merely like an explanation. That's it. There's no room for emotions in arguments. Listen.
Well, there's no point. There's
no point. You're not going to get hurt.
Yeah, I teach people that when you are negotiating, anger certainly is a negotiation tool. It can be. Intimidation certainly can.
Very intimidating.
The challenge is the needle bounces back. And the challenge is, if you're going to use anger as a negotiation tool, it has to be the last one, because it doesn't help. And if it doesn't work, there's no recovery from it. And so I think that, people don't realize that they are in charge of their emotions. And the moment they give power to something and let it cause them anger, they've already lost. And I think that's the biggest challenge. I've got a topic I want to get to after you give us the 9 elements of the book, and I want to get a copy of the book. So by the time we're done, I want to be
That's
sure
coming. I got to make sure we send you out a copy right away.
Yeah.
Listen, the bottom line is it's teamwork. Anything you're going to do, like you said there, is you're going to work within a team, and that is you're going to build a skill set, relationship building, effective communication, and those are my 9, major skills that I believe encompass a successful salesman. I added to T. Harv Eckert's list of 8 once I later found that out. Resilience. But those are the skills that we outline, that we talk about. Listen, we get into a little bit of goal setting as a salesperson. We talk about enthusiasm, talk about, real passion, excitement, enthusiasm. It's amazing. It can replace fear. It can give you courage. It can give you courage, positive thinking. You're able to, once you're thinking clearly, you're up to 29% smarter when you're thinking clearly. So these are the ingredients I think that you need to be successful as a salesperson. And then I rolled it back a little bit and said, these are the skills that you need to be successful in business and in life.
I see you have some desert landscaping out your window. Where are you located?
No, there's no desert in New York. I
Ah,
am in.
just a barren tree.
Yeah, just a barren tree. No, we are in Garden City, Long Island, New York. That New York accent that you think I'm putting on, oh, it's the real thing.
So here's my question to you.
Sure, what's up?
We've been doing some. Tell me more about your business, the American Investment Properties, largely commercial investing.
Only. Yeah,
And you
only.
mentioned you mentioned shopping centers. Did you mention apartment buildings?
That's correct. Yes. What we do is we sell investment properties. We only work for sellers. We only work in the area, and we only work on exclusive listings. And we only outproduce the market by 11.34% over the last 23 years. And basically, that's our job. We work for sellers. We get them as much money as humanly possible. We expose properties to the marketplace. We know who to go to, and we really farm our market. We're very, very local commercial real estate brokers, Nassau, Suffolk, and part of Queens, which is one of the 5 boroughs of New York City. So we're very, very local. Shopping centers, office buildings, industrial buildings, and apartment buildings.
So here's the big question. We are negotiating right now for a new entertainment venue facility in Southern California. And in the process of doing all of this, I was directed to go look at a property that is a old movie theater in a shopping mall.
Right.
Couple things that I hadn't really thought about. We're wealthy. We have money. I've got a phenomenal in-house movie theater at my home, in both of my homes. In fact, it's one of the first things I look for in a house is a nice home movie theater.
Wow.
When the scandemic happened and everything got locked down, nobody could go to the movies. So I
Right.
have a theory that more and more people went out and bought larger flat screens. They bought a nicer recliner so they could have their movie experience at home when they weren't allowed to leave.
I feel like that was happening anyway, though. I felt like that we were on the road for that anyway. I
I
felt
would
like
agree.
technology was pushing us there. A lot of these technological investments, work from home, things of that nature, they were happening anyway.
Yes, I agree completely,
Mhm.
100%. So it's not a surprise to me that this movie theater was available because movies during the scamdemic certainly were hurt. People they couldn't bring people to their movie theaters, but more importantly, the studios realized that they could release straight to stream. And because they weren't paying a percentage to the theaters and they didn't have any other negotiation or complications with all of that, they just produced content to go straight to the stream. They made almost the same amount of money. So they didn't care. They're not making anything on concessions. They don't really care where their content is consumed. So the less content was available to the theaters. So now, number one, more and more people aren't going to the movies. They're just not going. They're staying home. I prefer to stay home. I can start the movie at the time that I want to start it. I can pause it if I have to pee. If I want gourmet food, I get it at 1/10 the price. And by the way, my waitress is much better looking than yours. So I have zero reason to go to the movie theater unless it's like a giant IMAX, like the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Right. They got to give you an experience that's different,
Yes.
significantly different than you have at home
So it's
to
not about the
induce you and
content.
I. Right.
It's not about the content. It's about the
to
content. It's about the experience.
right.
So here's the question I have for you, because you're involved with all of this. In the midst of that, the other thing, because I went to see the movie theaters, the challenge with them is the movie industry, whether theaters want to acknowledge this or not, it's not coming back. It's, in my opinion, they're going to have to move to make the experience more important than the content. They're trying. They're building, woofers underneath every single seat. They're making the seats so they shake when there's an earthquake on the screen, or it spits water out of the seat in front of you, as a mist or as a, spit or whatever. So you have this sensory experience. The thing is, I don't want that every time I watch a movie. It would be too much every time I watch a movie. Just don't want it. So at the same time, though, the only thing the movie theaters are left to be able to do is give me a better experience. They can't give it to me via food. They can't give it to me via the chair. I see the theaters are moving to putting actual beds into the theaters. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's going to be a challenge really fast. You got people under covers, in the dark, in public. What could go wrong?
Everything.
So, or right, I guess, depending on your point of view. But here's the question. When I went to look at the theater, I went to the mall, and it shocked me. This is a nice mall. This isn't a ghetto mall. This isn't a has-been mall. This is an active mall before the lockdowns. 1/3 of the spaces in the mall were empty.
That's right.
Half of the remaining spaces, another third, were filled with what I would consider subpar tenants. People that
Right.
were going month to month, that were renting out the Sears store to put in a swap meet or a pickleball court, or not that those businesses are subpar, the fact that they're renting
Right.
space
Things
in a
change.
mall.
Yeah,
So
things change.
here,
Malls have changed. Sure, go ahead.
yes, so here's the big question. This mall, and then I realized most malls realize the challenge that not only did movies become something people could consume at home, a large portion of people realized, hey, I can get my new Lululemons from the comfort of my own living room. All I got to do is press this button, and by God, I get it by the afternoon. So now a mall isn't at all for shopping. It's only for the experience. But the challenge is the mall is faced with the distinction that we've got more and more retailers realizing a higher and higher and higher percentage of their sales are coming from online, which means proportionately their need for a retail space is diminishing while their rent costs are going up. So it's disproportionate, it's backwards. So the mall's finding less and less big boxes even want to put their anchor in there no matter what deal the mall's cutting. So in our area, at least Southern California, the majority of the malls are all going to multi-use. They're building apartments above the Sears store.
Right.
They're making both apartments and condos available right above the retail, because they know if I want food in the middle of the night, I contact Uber Eats. They deliver it to my door. But if I can walk down my stairs, if I can go down the elevator, walk 50 feet to the food court, yeah, I'll go get my food in the food court. So I think what the malls believe, and this is the question, I believe the malls believe if they can import their shoppers and keep them there, that they'll give another benefit of that traffic to the mall, which now increases the value of their retail spaces. What's your take on that?
Well, sure. I'm level 60, and you're level 62, age 60 and age 62 is what we're talking about. And most of the malls that happened in this country happened in suburbia, and that happened during the 1950s and 1960s, and they were very popular in closed malls. So I want to pull two things apart. I want to pull retail apart from enclosed malls, because to the best of my knowledge, for the most part, there hasn't been an enclosed mall built since 2006. It's almost 20 years that they've gone out of favor. So there are a lot of malls that exist, but the experience has changed, and what shoppers want has changed. They don't want malls. They want power centers where they can go in and get out, in and out. Now, the second part is, what is retail about and how has that changed? Malls, I agree with you. They had their growing pains. They were the experience that everybody wanted in the 1950s and the 1960s, at 70s, 80s, and 90s, and 2000. And here we are in 2024. The wants, the need, the experience of those shoppers has changed.
Yep.
Okay, it's a long time since 1950, 70 something, 80 years, whatever that is. Fair enough. Okay, now what's changed in retail? In my area, Long Island, we have a 4% vacancy rate. 96% of all retail is leased. Now, what are you buying there? Are you buying your Lululemons? You're buying that cup of coffee you put to your mouth. You're buying the food. You're buying the drinks. You're buying the experiences. And if you go into, I happen to have a very successful mall across the street from me. They understand experiential retail. What does that mean? They need the experience. Lululemon. I want to try on those Lululemons. Am I a small, medium, large, extra large? What goes on? What size am I? How does this
You're an
thing
extra large,
fit?
darling. Don't put those
That's it,
Lululemons
baby.
on.
No, don't put those Lululemons on. No,
No, you're beautiful
point
just
is,
the way you are.
I appreciate you. But the point is, that's an experience. Understand? Trying them on is an experience. Once I try them on once or twice, I buy plus stuff at Untuck It. I know that what I got is, regular size, but I don't need to go back to the mall all the time. But maybe I just want to go there.
Yes.
So now it's experiences. So that's what retail has changed into. There's certain things you can't get at, there's certain things you have to get out, and you have to get your hair cut. You have to go out. If you want to go to a restaurant, it has to be in a physical location. You can't do either one of those virtually. There's a lot of things we're doing something here virtually that didn't exist maybe 10 or 20 years ago. Bottom line is this: retail is absorbing that, but it's also changing. The mall, I'm sorry, like you said, that's a dinosaur. It's not coming back.
No, it's not. And you just hit it on the head. I'm a big guy, and I'm in the process of taking some fat off my body. And I frankly prefer to try my clothes on at home. I prefer it. I don't really want to go out. I prefer it. And so you've got both sides of that coin. But you said something, because I've been polling a lot of people as I've been looking at what our investments are going forward and watching the reinvention of some very popular malls here in Southern California. They're all going multi-use. And so I started thinking about that. Also, as an entertainer, while movies are off 40% since 2019, since pre-lockdown, movies.
I'm surprised. I thought it would be a bigger number, but it was already moving in the wrong direction prior to that.
Correct. So they're never going to recover. The thing though that's interesting to me is live theater.
I see that. I saw that coming. Love that.
Concerts, live entertainment shows, comedy clubs, circuses, they're all up. Why? I can watch Taylor Swift's concert on Apple TV. I can buy a vision of her concert. I can watch it on Apple TV. And it's great. I get to see the whole show. But it's not the same as seeing her face and flesh in person. But if I watch...
Nothing. It's not the same. Not the same experience.
If I watch Tom Cruise in Maverick, in Top Gun, and I watch him on my screen at home, yeah, I can go to watch him at the movies. And the only difference, it's bigger. That's the only difference.
It's a very similar experience.
Yes, but the live experience to say, yeah, I saw
it's very different. It's very different. It's a connection.
That's it. And so I think that this is where we're getting to, is that everything's a pendulum. And the pendulum swing is we've become more and more removed because of devices. And I think all of us, I know for me at least it's true, all I want to do is connect. All I want to do, you and I are having this conversation. We've never met in person. I really look forward to meeting you in person and shaking your hand, giving you a big hug.
Marshall. I agree. That'd be great.
But I think that that's what we're getting back to, is people will, I really believe this. And I said this the other day, and I said, maybe it's not true, but I think experience over outcome now. I think people are willing to sacrifice a piece of their outcome, a piece of their profits, a piece of their whatever it is, for a better experience. If I had a choice between going to a restaurant where the service was horrid, the environment was bad, but the food was the best in the world. And a place, maybe the food was 70% of that or even 60% of that, but the service impeccable, impressive. The environment was something I couldn't put my phone down because I wanted to just take photos and videos of the environment. I don't know about you. I'd pick the latter.
Me
I
too.
wouldn't pick the former. I'd
Every
pick the
time.
latter.
Every time.
And so,
If I can go into a restaurant and be recognized and someone to say, "Hey, Ron, thanks for coming back. We really appreciate you. Let me get you a great table because I know you love to sit by the window. I got you. This is going to be great." Truthfully, bring me the very average lasagna. I'm fine. I feel like
yes,
$1,000,000.
yes, I wholeheartedly agree. Take me to that corner restaurant where I am a celebrity. Everybody knows me. They don't have
Feels
to ask
great.
me what I'm drinking because they know exactly what I'm drinking. They don't even on most occasions have to ask me what I'm eating because they know my favorites. And they say, will it be the lasagna or the fettuccine tonight? Which one are you gonna have?
Isn't that great,
Yes.
Marshall? Make you feel like $1,000,000.
So that's the key, and that's the big takeaway from today's broadcast is every last one of us needs to ask ourselves that question: how can I give somebody else a better experience? And then on a global level, how do I give all of my customers a better experience? Uh, I believe in, and I
I
think
believe
that
there's one word I want to add to that. I want you to really feel it. I want it to be authentic. I want you to
yes,
say, I'm not doing this. I'm not trying to make more money. I'm authentically saying, hey, I really appreciate you coming to my restaurant. I appreciate that I'm your waiter. I appreciate the fact that you're doing business with me as a commercial real estate broker. And I really appreciate it. There are a lot of other commercial real estate brokers. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you for working with me. Let's put our heads together to put the absolute best strategy we can together. And mine's authentic. It really is. I love what I do. And
so we're
I'm
different.
just
We're different that way. In that I agree wholeheartedly with that, but I authentically want to make money. I authentically don't want to tell you that I'm doing this just because I like you and I'm a good guy and you're an amazing human being and all I want
fair,
to do is give you a better experience.
fair,
No, I want to give you a better experience because I
fair,
want more of your money over time.
fair. My feeling is that we just said the same thing. We both said the same thing, and we're in agreement at level 60 and level 62. I am in this to make money. Otherwise, I might be home or fly fishing. But the bottom line is that I want to make more money, but I understand I must authentically try to make this experience as a commercial real estate broker the best it could possibly be. And that's my focus, making more money through creating better value.
So just because I want to cap on this because it's important to me and I was wanting to pick your brain in this area, thank you so much for being on the show. Traditional cinema, are they going to be in business in 5 years?
I don't know that they're in business now. I don't know who are the people that are going to traditional cinema. I don't know how it's surviving. I don't think it's viable in 2024. In 2029, I think that went out of business in 2019. I think we're 5 years away from it being viable. I don't know how they pull a profit. I wish someone
That
could explain it to
that's
me.
key. That's key. So back to a story that my viewers have heard a lot of times. I worked for a man when I was 12 years old. Started working for him when I was 12, and he reinvented Halloween. He owned a magic shop and he owned a costume shop, and the costume shop only did business 2 weeks out of the year. The other 52 weeks, away from Halloween, little bit of business at Christmas, Santa Claus costumes, little bit of business on Easter for bunny costumes, and that was it. He reinvented the whole process and said, we're going to lease space for 1 month out of the year. That's all we're going to do. We're going to lease space for 1 month out of the year, and we're going to do all the business that we can, and we're going to lease that space in the garden department at the Sears store because they're not using it. Or we're going to find some empty big box that's been sitting empty for months and say, look, we just want to rent it for a month.
Right.
And so I think that's what's going to have to happen with movie theaters is they're going to have to repurpose. And I think the smartest repurpose is to move toward live entertainment. They've
I
already got
love
the
that.
venues. They've
I
already
love
got the
that.
venues. They've got the databases. They've got every system they need in place to, at the very least, start a move toward a mixed use, partly live entertainment, partly movies, but then condense it down over time to see what's really working. And mark my words, it's live
I don't
entertainment.
see any future at all in movies. That
So-
to me that ship has sailed a very long time ago. Long time ago.
Imagine I own a 100,000 square foot mall, enclosed mall.
Right.
What do I do with it? What do I do with it now? I've got less tenants. Rates are going down. What do I do with it?
You know, I'm not intimate with that market. We happen to have the 14th largest economy in America in my market, Nassau and Suffolk counties. However, we only have 3 enclosed malls. They do fantastic. They're 3 of the best malls in the country.
Why do you think that is? Why do those malls do well?
Just very simply that I think that there are more mall square feet per person throughout the country. My market here is just more densely populated. We don't have as many square feet as you do in malls and throughout the country. So I think ours it's just supply and demand. We don't have that much of this product. I think if we had 15 malls and we were more similar to the rest of America, those malls would be suffering too. I think we support 3 very strongly. So it's not something that's in my market. However, I have been in this industry for a long time, and I do see people repurposing them. And I like the idea of it being theaters. I like the idea of it being multifamily. If there's a need for office space locally in the area and the retail to service those uses, I think that, is a better fit.
Hey, how do people get a hold of your book?
Right on Amazon. It's a popular thing. It's called Power Broker. How to be successful in business and life. I'm Ron Koenigsberg, and it's on Amazon. Power Broker, how to be successful in business and life. And really, I plead people to go out, understand the importance of interpersonal skills, understand these are the skills that are going to make you generation after generation millionaires and more, because this is what is in a millionaire's mind. Sales is teachable, and this to me is the guidebook.
We have an event. It's called Turning Point. I do it about every other month, either Las Vegas or Southern California. I would like to give you 2 tickets to come join me in July, or anytime you want to, but we've got the next one coming up in July. And I would love to meet you in person. I'll learn more about what you do. And I'm very much looking forward to getting a copy of the book. I'm going to purchase one as soon as we get done here. Thanks so much for being on the show. And you're amazing.
Such an honor to be here. You're amazing. You're amazing. You are amazing. The energy you bring, this show, it's amazing. You are changing lives. Real Estate Ron on Instagram, on LinkedIn, it's Ron Koenigsberg. And I think that there's a couple I'm forgetting, Facebook and some other stuff, but it's really an honor. You're amazing. Thank you.
You are amazing. I'm grateful for you. Until we meet in person, have an awesome day.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks, Ron. Life is good. Hey, yeah, we got Turning Point coming up in July. I can't wait. I had my knees done. For those of you that know me, I had PRP done on my knees. I blew them out last October or so playing racquetball with my very spry and athletic young wife. She blew out both of my ankles. Excuse me, both of my knees. Knock on wood. I didn't mean to say that. And they're getting better. I had PRP treatments done on my knees, and so the last Turning Point had to be postponed because I couldn't walk. I'm walking, baby. And so we're excited to see you in July. I'm going to give 3 sets of tickets to the first 3 people that call 1-800-92-POWER to see what you're about to receive tickets for. Watch this video. And when we come back, I'm going to answer a couple of questions from your emails. So we'll see you after this. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.
Turning Point. A total change in direction for the better.
Who here is ready for a turning point? You absolutely have to have one. Put them high.
The 2-day Turning Point seminar is different than any other program in that it does more than just teach you the skills for your relationships, wealth, and power. It also programs you on a subconscious level to put those skills into immediate use.
This weekend is about empowerment. This weekend is about you understanding how to take charge of your own life.
You will learn total control of your thoughts and emotions. How to use PND, or psychoneural duplication, to take on the thoughts and actions of others to produce similar results. Whether it's losing weight, changing habits, being a millionaire.
When you think what a millionaire thinks and you do what a millionaire does, you'll produce similar results.
You will learn to program these powerful tools at a subconscious level for immediate and lasting results.
Your conscious mind is what's called your critical factor. It's the mind you're using right now to determine whether the information I'm giving to you will work for you or not. Your subconscious mind, on the other hand, is merely a computer. It's non-critical. It doesn't even have the ability to make judgment. So all trance, hypnosis, reprogramming is setting aside the critical factor of your conscious mind and non-critically accepting suggestions.
And empowering.
To make a fear vanish, you must experience it fully.
As it helps you create your life exactly the way you want it. Bring your family closer. Find the love of your life. Create strategies for wealth. Learn irresistible influence, and so much more. Because of the intimate nature of this course, seats are very limited. Register now before your life passes you by and there are no more turning points for you. Tens of thousands of people have learned this information and are using it daily.
You don't get angry if you get fired from your job and you know that within 2 years you will be a multi-millionaire.
It's your time.
There's a way for you to win this game that is different than how you're doing it, and it works.
It's your life.
When you learn how to do that, you become more powerful, and power is for use.
It's your turning point.
Welcome back. I'm going to take a couple of email questions. As you know, we do Q&A on this show, and normally we would take your calls. Putting you on notice, we're going to start doing that very soon. So right now, though, I'd like to answer a couple of emails. In particular today, we're going to focus on sales. This is an email from Derek Wong. He is a sales associate at a high-end electronics store. And often he finds himself at the end of a sale, struggling to close the deal. He's looking for techniques that will help him confidently secure the sales without appearing pushy to customers. His question: what are the most effective closing techniques in sales? We just spent a whole bunch of time chatting with our guest that was on the show with Ron, and we were talking about effective persuasion, effective influence, effective negotiation. And the base of effective negotiation is empathy. In retail sales in particular, it's important to understand what are conditioned responses. And the first conditioned response to avoid is an automatic say no. And that is approaching somebody when they walk into the store and saying, "Hey, welcome to the store. Can I help you find something?" Don't do it. Do what I call a 180-degree pass by in retail, especially. Because the only thing worse than being ignored in a being attacked in a retail store is being ignored in a retail store. So if you don't walk up and say, "Hello, welcome to the store. Can I help you find something?" and get a condition, "No, thanks, just looking," the worst thing is to just ignore that person. So what you want to do is acknowledge them and not yet address them. And I call that a 180-degree pass by. So what you do is you walk up to them and you say, "Hey, thanks so much for coming into the store. Got to take care of something. Be right back." Because what's going to happen, it's called a pattern interrupt. Their pattern is going to interrupt, and they're going to say, "No." And then they realize you're not asking, and they say, "Oh, okay, thanks." which is an affirmative response. You've just put them in a yes state. Second lesson on the tail of that, Derek, is you want to keep them in a yes state. Ask questions that can be said yes to. Notice what they're doing and comment on that. Do not ask open-ended questions. What are you looking for today is an open-ended question. I see you're looking at the big screen TVs is not. It's an observation that they can either support or rebuff. And so if they support it, say, yeah, I'm looking at the TVs. I'm thinking about, getting a bigger one for the den, or I'm building out my man cave, whatever. Or they can say, yeah, not really. In fact, I actually just came in because I'm looking for a brand new toaster oven for the kitchen. Got some more information. So by not asking a say no question, by asking an observational question, if you're in phone sales, I noticed that you're calling me and you made this appointment at the end of the day. Do you have a full-time job that keeps you busy during the day? Now you've got some information, and information is ammunition. One of the other things to do is a confused mind never makes a choice. And so, what your job in a retail circumstance, especially, is to narrow down their choices. You narrow down their choices by finding out what's important to them. Much like the conversation we just had, where I said, I believe people are now buying experience over outcome, all things being equal. You go to a restaurant, the food is out of this world, best you've ever tasted, but the service is bad, the environment's crappy, then you're just going to say, not that interested. We went to a restaurant, Erica and I went to a restaurant the other day. The food was amazing. The environment was very, very sparse. It was in a funky part of town. And although I thought the food was exceptional, we probably won't go back. We had the experience, but there's other places where the food is not quite as good, but the experience is amazing. The wait staff on top of it, the environment just fun to be near. You've been to restaurants like that where, maybe you took your kids where they had automated chickens talking to you, or something unique was going on. All the wait staff dressed up in costumes and stopped and took a break and performed it. Maybe the food was just okay, but the experience was better. So in sales, one of the things to do is to eliminate their choices, and by finding out what's important to them. And you ask either or questions to do that. What's more important to you? Getting something quick, or getting exactly what you want, even if it takes a little bit longer. Do you have that car in white? You can't get it in white. You say, is having the car in white more important to you than getting the exact car you want? Open-ended question, either or question, but it also elicits more information. And then the final thing is to always, Derek Wong, have an assumptive attitude. And what do I mean by that? They're there to buy. So you're not there to convince them to buy anything. They came into your retail store. That's an acknowledgement. I am here to buy things. Don't let somebody that walks into your retail store say, oh, just looking. No kidding, you're just looking. You're in the store. You're looking for something to buy. So that's what just looking actually means. I'm looking for something to buy. That's why I'm here. It's not like online digital where they can, just click to another page or move on quickly. They physically got in their car, got to the store, and are physically there. You couldn't find a more motivated buyer. Now you just need to elicit their motivation. One last tidbit, Derek Wong, one last tidbit. Sometimes when you go to elicit outcome, you say, what are you looking for? And they say, I don't know. If they say, I don't know, you say, I know you don't know. If you did know, what would you be looking for? And they'll tell you. You have to give them permission not to know. The reason they say, I don't know, is for one of two reasons. Either they don't know what's available to them, and they don't want to state they want something if something better was available, and you're the one that would know if something better was available. The other reason a customer, a prospect, will say, I don't know what I want, when they do know what they want, is they're afraid to tell you what they want because they're afraid you just might get it for them. And if you get it for them, guess what? Then they don't have anything for resistance. So, Derek, you cannot go wrong with all the techniques I just gave you. Next question is from Lisa Smith. Lisa is the sales manager. Another sales question. She's a sales manager for a software company. She's got a dip in team morale due to a tough quarter. She's seeking strategies to keep the team motivated and focused on achieving their targets despite setbacks. When you say tough quarter, her question is, how can a sales team stay motivated during challenging times? I don't know what challenging times are. I don't. And that's the first part of the answer, is that it doesn't matter whether they're challenging times or a tough quarter. The only thing that makes it challenging times or tough is a lack of sales. So the more effective question, at least in my belief, and I don't know because it's an email and stuff is often lost in translation. The bigger challenge is, and the bigger question I think is, how do I make more sales? And you make more sales by doing three very specific things. Number one, ask yourself, what's the target rich environment? Where are the woods and the coulds? Where are the people that would want what we're selling and, more importantly, could afford it? They would want what we're selling and they could afford it, because anything short of that is a waste of time. If they have money but don't want what you're selling, why bother? If they want what you're selling but don't have any money, why bother? So you're looking, number one, for a target rich environment. You got to be sure you're finding the leads. Number two, you got to be sure that you have everything that would fill the need of what your target rich environment would be looking for. You've got to have a good product. So some people say, well, yeah, our product isn't that good. Then sell something different. I mean, if that's really how you feel about your product or your offer, you're obligated, ethically and morally obligated, to stop selling it. When you believe in what you're selling, you are ethically and morally obligated to sell more of it. Next element, I said there was three. Number one, target rich environment. Number two, have a moral and ethical obligation to sell the product. And then number three, how do they stay motivated during these challenging times? Look for evidence of success. Don't look for evidence. Look for evidence of success. When salespeople are whining and complaining, it's easy for them to say the economy or this other company or everybody everywhere and make global statements. And what you want them to know is that may actually be true. It may be that the real estate market is down everywhere. It may be that software sales have been impacted. It may be that movie ticket sales are off 90%. All those things could be true, and they don't matter. It's irrelevant. If you're a salesperson, you need to get creative and figure out how to make sales. So, one of the things that we teach is we teach people, how do you crush it from the stage? How do you crush it from the platform? How do you crush it from a webinar? How do you make sales? In fact, we've got a crush it from the platform event happening also in July, right around the time of the turning point. And if you're somebody that wants to know how to crush it from the stage, if you're somebody that wants to know how do you close digitally, the last element is to be massively assumptive. And it goes hand in hand with the second element, having that moral and ethical obligation. So what you want to do is have the mindset that says, I'd be boggled if you wouldn't want to buy what I'm selling, because what I'm selling is so important to your life and your success. And so that highly assumptive attitude has you constantly closing, never giving up. If you have kids, you know how this goes. Kids ask for things until they get them. And my children especially, I've trained them, you get things by being charming. You don't get things by being angry or upset or demanding or throwing a fit. In fact, you don't get what you want by throwing a fit. Even if I wanted to give it to you, I'll change my mind if you throw a fit to get it. And so I teach them to be charming. And that's the same thing as a salesperson. You should be. Be as charming as a 7-year-old. Be as consistent, persuasive, and absolutely dogged as a kid wanting another cookie. And I believe that when you do that, you will help your team get more motivated. And then finally, how do sales teams be motivated? People like targets. We like targets. We like outcomes. We do, even though experience is more important than outcome, in my belief, that people will sacrifice outcome right now for a better experience. I still believe what keeps us motivated is I'm wanting to get down to 199 pounds. I'm wanting to get up to $1 billion in the bank. I'm wanting to have sex 3 times a day. It's a target. And when people have targets, they stay focused. So if they had a tough quarter and they didn't achieve their targets, then the question is, how do we come back and what did we achieve? Did we get anything? Did we have some salespeople that hit 80% or 90% of their target, and then some that hit 10%? Well, what's the distinction? What are the ones that are hitting 90 doing that the ones that are doing 10 aren't doing? And how do we help the ones that are doing 90 do 10% more, and the other ones 90% more, and then everybody's on target? So the question comes back to, there's a way to win that's different than how you've been doing it, and it works. I believe, and this is what we're building with Studio Money here in Southern Cal, which we will build all across the world, is Studio Money will be designed to be a venue both for entertainment and for education. We'll do our Young Entrepreneur Society free programs to educate kids on entrepreneurship there. We will teach our free sales training classes weekly there to help the economy. We will do all of the above. We'll serve coffee at 6:30 a.m. until 8 o'clock, where you can come get free coffee, free networking with other people, no cost whatsoever. You want Danish or something else? Yeah, that's going to cost you a couple of bucks, but not to make a profit, just to not go in the hole. I'll buy the coffee. I'll pay for the venue. I just want to give you a place to come. It'll be a video and sound production facility where you can come in and you can learn how to do better videos, because video's everything now, just like this show. And the whole point, though, of Studio Money is to become a vision to keep you on track. How do you keep teams motivated? You keep some of them motivated, and the ones that don't step up, you cut loose. So, hey, I trust you've had an awesome day. I've got 2 Turning Point tickets for the first 3 people right now who call 1-800-92-POWER, 1-800-92-POWER. Come join me in Las Vegas. If you want to find out more about what Turning Point is, we just showed you a video. You can also go to Sylver, SYLVER.com/TP. That is Sylver, SYLVER, .com/TP, or just go to Sylver.com, find out about all the programs we've got going on for you, and we will see you there. I'm Marshall Sylver. You are totally loved. It's an amazing life filled with health, opportunity, and potential. Go out and live today as if it is your last. Have some grace for other people. Have some empathy. Ponder what they may be dealing with today, and do what you can to make their day a little bit better. I'll do mine. You're loved. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Hey there, moguls. It's me, Marshall Sylver, your personal millionaire maker. Getting very excited about my brand new show coming up 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. I'm going to broadcast live to you. I'm going to give you content, information, emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual power. I'll also invite some of my cool multi-millionaire and billionaire friends onto the show to give you more direction, more advice for having it all. All the knowledge to get everything you want and so much more. All you got to do is log in to the show to get information coming to you live from the bunker right here at Studio Money. So stay tuned.